Spider-Man No Way Home is directed by John Watts, rounding out his, I guess, home trilogy, if you want to call it something. And this film stars Tom Holland once again as Spider-Man. And in this film, Spider-Man's identity is now revealed, and Peter asks Doctor Strange for help. But when the spell goes wrong, dangerous foes from other worlds start to appear, forcing Peter to discover what it truly means to be Spider-Man. But before we get into the review, I want to give a big thank you to the sponsor for this video, Displate. Displate offers countless high-quality prints on metal. They're mounted on the wall with a magnet and are very easy to hang and change designs whenever you feel like putting something new up. There are millions of cool designs available on the website, from everything including gaming, movies, comics, sports, with officially licensed designs from Bethesda, Star Wars, Marvel, and much more. With Displate, you can build collections of things that you are passionate about right on your wall, and with every Displate that you buy, you plant one tree. And with Spider-Man No Way Home coming out, Displate offers a ton of great Spider-Man prints. And since the great and beautiful human being Nicolas Cage voices Spider-Man Noir in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I thought it was a great time to look at this man's face. But it's always a great time to look at his face. Every time I see this print, I smile, and you can too. It's available on Displate. So if you go to my link in the description below, you can buy 1 to 2 Displates for 23% off, or 3 or more Displates for 29% off. So please do check out the link in the description below for that great deal. It's only available for a limited time. Thank you so much to Displate for sponsoring this video. Let's keep talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. So look, I can't talk about this film. There's nothing I can say. I guess I'll leave now. This is going to be a spoiler-free video. I will be doing a spoiler review as well, because there's a lot of things I would like to discuss that I will not be discussing right now. I guess I have to establish what I consider a spoiler. If it's in the trailer already, I'm going to talk about it. There are villains already revealed in the trailer, and I'm going to speak about them. So if you somehow avoided all the trailers and for some reason are watching this review even though you know I show trailer footage, I guess that's your warning. I'm just being super careful on this shit. This movie is easily the best of the Home trilogy for me. I haven't been a massive fan of these movies. I've enjoyed Homecoming and Far From Home. I rewatched both of them yesterday leading up to this film, and I still enjoy them, but they're by no means my favorite Spider-Man movies. And this one will be rewatched by me more than a few times, for sure. I had a great time with it. There's some inconsistencies and some issues that I have a little bit that I'll discuss in brief detail, but for the most part, I think Spider-Man fans are going to have a really good time with this movie, and especially if you loved Homecoming and Far From Home and you're just like totally wrapped up in MJ and Peter and their relationship and all that. If that's like your thing, like you're just gonna have a great time with this movie. I also had a great time with this movie, but because it felt darker than the other two. This, without a doubt, is the closest we've ever gotten to actually having Spider-Man in the MCU. Like, Tom Holland is really fucking good in this movie, and he is put through a lot of dark stuff, and he has to deal with a lot of things that he's never had to deal with before that force him to become Spider-Man. Like, he's not Spider-Teen, he's not Spider-Boy in this movie. He gets put through the ringer, which is what Peter Parker has always been to me. And it was wonderful to see. We know from the last film that J.K. Simmons is back as J. Jonah Jameson, and he's in the film considerably. I was very happy to see that. But Alfred Molina, as you know, returns as Doc Ock, which I never honestly thought I'd see a world where I saw him on the screen again. Willem Dafoe is back as Green Goblin. Again, not something I ever expected to see. Jamie Foxx, back as Electro. This is insane. Like, the fact that these people are in this movie is just... It's insane. I struggled to comprehend what I was looking at sometimes because I just never thought I would see that. One of my biggest concerns, though, going in was that they were going to show up and say like a line and then go away. Like, I was afraid Norman was going to show up, jump on his glider, go, "Godspeed, Spider-Man," and then blow up. That's not the case at all, thank God. They are in the movie for a considerable amount of runtime, and they have a lot to do. And they're not just there to be callbacks. They all have a plight. They all have something that they would like to obtain. They all have reasons for wanting it, and it makes sense. And when it comes to Spider-Man's interaction with these three characters, this is a broad term, but it was very good. I don't mean like quality, I just mean like heartwarming and special, and it happened the way it should happen for Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man's choices made sense for the character, and I just really liked what they did. And Willem Dafoe is really good in this movie, like really, really fucking good. I loved hearing his voice and seeing his face contort into the Green Goblin. I don't know, man. He was fucking good. I loved him so much. And it was just wonderful to see him like in the movie, not just in a few shots. The real heart and soul of the movie, though, lies in the relationship between Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Zendaya's MJ. And they work extremely well together. Their chemistry is off the charts, but also the story is just really sweet. And I liked everything they did with those characters, as well as Doctor Strange. Benedict Cumberbatch gets some really cool moments in this movie. There's an amazing sequence, which you have seen in the trailers, and I won't talk about like what's going on, but there's like a train, and clearly Doctor Strange is doing some fucked up magic, and that sequence was amazing. One of the best things that John Watts has done in this trilogy. I think my biggest issue with the movie is one of editing and one of filmmaking. John Watts, to me, is a good filmmaker, but I have never been blown away by his visual take on Spider-Man. It all feels like it fits into the MCU very well, but I never really felt a lot of personality coming through in his directing style. Most of that was usually due to the characters and the actors inhabiting those characters just really giving a lot to these movies. And there are some choices in the film, especially editing-wise, that I didn't understand. The first time we really see Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin without the mask on, it was handled very strangely. It just cut to his face. There was no tilt up, there was no push in, it was just a cut to his face. And I was like, oh, it's like they didn't give him like a really great reveal. I mean, they give his suit a great reveal, but then it's like, that's Willem Dafoe, bro. Like, he was in Platoon, man. Like, show some goddamn respect and give him a tilt at least. And in regards to those editing choices, they also cut away from Dafoe a lot when he would be just chewing up the scenery and really going for it. And it felt like they were almost worried that he was going for it too much and taking away from the realism of the movie, which I just strongly disagree with, because they kept cutting away to things that were less interesting than Willem Dafoe as Green fucking Goblin talking. There were editing choices like that that bugged me. Sometimes it did feel like some of these villain characters were just sort of in their own little box, and they were being filmed in their own space, and they weren't necessarily in the same space as the other characters. And it was almost like they filmed some of them separately and kind of stitched them together with someone else off camera reading the lines. It just didn't always feel like they were in the same room with everyone. It's a strange thing to describe. Maybe you just have to see the film and understand what I mean, but that could also be because for these three villain characters, I read that they originally didn't necessarily want the public to know that Doc Ock, Electro, and Green Goblin were in the movie. And maybe they just had to always film them indoors because they were afraid of assholes trying to leak shit. So I don't know. But that's really my main gripe with the film, is some of the editing choices. Sometimes it felt like shots just weren't as interesting or as dynamic as they could have been. But it's a very small gripe amongst a 2.5-hour movie that I found consistently entertaining. Tom Holland is wonderful as Spider-Man. It's the best he's ever been. I've liked him since Homecoming and Civil War, but here he is really good. And I mean fucking phenomenal in this movie. And it has an amazing ending. I love the ending of this movie. I think it's extremely satisfactory, and I am seeing it again this weekend. I can't wait, actually. That's all I can say right now. There is so much other stuff I want to talk about, but I can't. And you'll just have to wait a few more days. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. Look forward to more reviews very soon. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.